The year was 1939. John Steinbeck's novel, The Grapes of Wrath, hit bookstores. Theatergoers witnessed the premiere of The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind. And one of St. Petersburg's favorite spring training heroes, Lou Gehrig, was inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame. In 1939, the world was still suffering from the Great Depression that began nearly a decade earlier. The birth of World War II was underway as Germany invaded Poland. And as the 1930s came to a close in St. Petersburg, our city had 40,425 residents. City Council was comprised of 6 men, including the mayor and councilman, Ian Boyer, who was elected in 1939. Nearly 40 parks spanned 200,000 acres, laying the groundwork for what would become one of the most expansive park systems of any city in North America. There were 13,578 telephones in service, 2 banks, and 1 trust company. National Airlines was flying from the city's municipal airport. There were 2 daily newspapers and 1 weekly newspaper and 9 public theaters. 9,200 students were enrolled in 2 senior high schools, 4 junior high schools, and 6 parochial schools, taught by 292 teachers. The city had 1 public library. The St. Petersburg Police was led by Police Chief E.D. Vaughn, with 56 men serving and 9 radio patrol cars operating from 2 stations. The fire department, led by Fire Chief Claude Nesbitt, had 48 men and 5 stations. There were 1,275 miles of city streets. Only 300 miles of them were paved, and electric streetcars traveled over 30 miles of railway. The city was led by a city manager at the time by the name of Glenn Leland, who was challenged to find a new home for city operations. He hoped it would have a great impact on the morale of the community struggling from the Great Depression. The original City Hall was located on the northeast corner of 4th Street and 1st Avenue South. The building was dilapidated, and city workers feared the walls would come crashing down at any time. The building was condemned, forcing city officials to find a new home. City Hall was constructed under a Public Works Administration grant, made possible by one of President Roosevelt's New Deal programs. PWA grants were meant to help improve services such as utilities. So in order to get funding, leaders called the new structure the Municipal Utilities Building. Construction cost around $400,000, with about 45% coming from federal funds. The selected architect, A. Lowther Forrest, moved to St. Petersburg in 1936, following a long and prestigious architectural career in the Northeast. Among the many buildings he designed is the Mocht Building, a Baltimore historic landmark, along with theaters and opera houses throughout the eastern seaboard. He designed City Hall at age 80, patterning it after the well-known Pan American Building in Washington, D.C. Forrest worked with local contractor Ari Clarkson and city engineer Paul Jorgensen to complete the Mediterranean Revival-style building. Another grant under the Federal Arts Project paid for murals to decorate the new building. One painting, The Pier, still hangs in the main stairway. Another painting was removed in protest during the Civil Rights Movement. That spot is still bare to this day. The site for the new St. Petersburg City Hall was originally the location of the city's first school, constructed in 1893. Across the street was the St. Petersburg Junior College. The Manual Training School, the Princess Martha Hotel, and the First Baptist Church were all located near the new building. 2 popular gathering spots at the time were the Shuffleboard Courts and the Manhattan Casino. Most city services were housed in the new City Hall building. It was a gala event when the city dedicated City Hall on November 28, 1939. Alongside city officials were representatives from the President's Public Works Administration, along with state and national legislators. A crowd of 2,000 gathered in the street for speeches and celebrations. Serenaded by the Junior College Band and the radio station, WSUN broadcast the event, followed by tours of the new building. In 1999, the city spent $2.5 million to renovate and restore the Mediterranean Revival-style building to its original grandeur. Some of the areas that remain today as they were in 1939 are the elaborate domed ceilings in the first-floor hallway and the hand-painted beams of the council chamber ceiling. When City Hall reopened in 1999, It also contained many new artworks that were commissioned through the Public Arts Commission, including a glass sculpture by Susan Gott and paintings by John Briggs and Christopher Still. 75 years later, St. Petersburg City Hall still retains much of its original appearance and continues to serve the many residents of our great city. As the largest city in Pinellas County, St. Pete is home to just under 250,000 residents. Approximately 3,000 employees serve those residents in more than 30 departments. Serving as the city's nucleus and emanating from the walls of this venerable 75-year-old building, a city of excellence has emerged as St. Petersburg has become a sparkling diamond jewel on America's southern shores.